You know, it looks like Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us has a ripple effect, and it's still haunting their team because Baka Not Nice, who, you know, I might declare it a holiday soon as Baka get back on the road, said by Drake before he was freed, and Baka got a weird case, why is he around? He finally did an interview and was asked about this and decided to give his own thoughts and opinions, which don't really take us far. First, I'm going to read exactly what this weird case is that everyone references. So this is the report. In 2014, Baka Not Nice was arrested for allegedly forcing a 22-year-old woman into prostitution. The following year, he pleaded guilty.
So Baka was a pimp. Are we listening, Chad? Baka was pimping. Okay? Allegedly. Allegedly. This is in 2014. Allegedly, Baka Not Nice was arrested for alleged force pimping on a 22-year-old hus. The following year, per the Toronto Sun, he pleaded guilty to assaulting the woman and failing to comply with conditions for unrelated firearm charges. The procuring for prostitution and human trafficking charges against him were dropped because the woman refused to testify. That is a weird case. So was she having, like, was she working for him or not? What the hell? I'm confused.
To assaulting the woman and failing to comply with conditions for unrelated firearm charges. The procuring for prostitution and human trafficking charges against him were dropped because the woman refused to testify. So this whole scenario, this whole title that they threw on him was for the human trafficking. This is really important because we're going to get into it a little bit later. And I think I have a bit of a nuanced take compared to most in this regard. According to authorities, the victim got into an argument with Baka when she found him passed out drunk as food burned in the oven, which is, I mean, this is right. This is like something a woman would argue with a man about, but she's 100% correct.
So she worked as an escort, but was in a relationship with him. So because she was doing hoochie-coochie activities for Manyan, but was in a relationship with him, they just assumed it was a situation where she was being trafficked, or they was going city to city together and they date, but she was doing the other stuff. And they got into a disagreement, and then they found out what she does, or either like she painted that picture and now she wanted to recant it. I don't know.
Correct, because that could have lit on fire. You get some carbon monoxide coming in. Baka's dead. He wouldn't even exist right now, so he probably should have thanked her. She told him off for falling asleep with food cooking, and he allegedly pushed her to the floor. The woman allegedly worked as an escort and was reportedly in a relationship with him at the time of the incident. Now, keep all this in mind.
He was dating an escort. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just wondering. Make sure I heard that word.
And we're going to get into what Baka said.
I heard it right.
So, the first clip, he starts yapping about wanting to respond.
So, like, Drake and his friends be dating prostitutes? Okay, I'm gonna shut up.
On to the whole situation. So I'm play you guys that right now.
Can I look that up?
At first, my first initial...
Oh yeah, he's definitely dating a prostitute, because yeah, that's as good as it get. Baka look kind of weird. Baka don't look nice.
Thing was to respond and respond quickly.
Yeah.
Very efficiently and very to the point.
Very directly.
Yeah, and you know, but like it was like it started brewing in me because where I come from, like that shit doesn't happen. Like you can't just call out a man and not have paperwork to back up your talks. Like that is this.
I think the paperwork was right there when you said you had a weird case, and it said 2014. You had this, but instead I think you took a plea deal to get something reduced.
It's ludicrous.
So here he's like, yeah, you know, I really wanted to respond. There's no paperwork. Well, like what paperwork is he talking about? And this is what's a little bit hazy during this interview clip. I'm going to play a bunch of different segments. Is sometimes it feels like he's talking about himself, that line, and then sometimes it feels like he's talking about Drake, because the biggest accusation he made was against Drake. What he said, because he said certified PDS. Now that does encapsulate everybody, but he's the one that said Drake likes him young. He didn't say that about Baka. He said Baka got a weird case. And regardless of what opinion you have, Baka does have a weird case. Is beating on the chick not weird? I feel like that enough.
No. The weird part about the case is that that's at 2 minutes 59. Is that the weird part about this freaking case is Baka was arrested for allegedly forcing prostitution upon a 22-year-old woman. Whatever age Baka was that year, I'm pretty sure he was triple double that. Okay, now he pled guilty to charges that didn't have anything to do with the alleged prostitution. He pled guilty to assaulting a woman and failure to comply with unrelated firearm charges, right? So it's not saying whether or not he took a plea deal. It's not saying whether or not like she like why she backed out or why she refused to testify or whether she had charges too. It's not really explaining the circumstances of what happened. It's just like kind of like they giving you the bare minimum of the case about the case, and it's kind of weird. So it's a weird ass like.
Is weird. Even though the human trafficking got dropped, that was something that he was initially charged. So he didn't. So I think when he's talking about paperwork, he's like, "Yo, I don't have human trafficking on my paperwork," which is like, okay.
And regardless if you don't have that on your paperwork, it's still a weird case because you was in a weird situation. It's still a weird case at the end of the day because one, you was accused of pimping and prostitution and human trafficking. Now, once you wasn't, charged with those crimes, you still got charged with even weirder crimes, which is beating them girls. What the fuck? Like, that's weird. That's weird. Yeah. All around weird. Like, you couldn't get them to just say, like, please to firearms or something like that. Like, they wanted you to have a little something, a little weird, a little sprinkle of weird.
Okay, but we continue.
Then like to see like a whole nation behind it and celebrating it like it's a true story is unbelievable because everybody has to understand like I have a kid, Drake has a kid,
Ruby,
you know what I mean?
Fun,
so like
love,
making accusations like that are like ridiculous and out of this world, you know what I'm saying?
So in this clip he talks about, oh yeah, kids, these accusations are ridiculous. Number one, you don't think it's even more ridiculous for Kendrick Lamar, who has kids, with a woman he cares about and is still with, unlike Drake. Drake don't care about his baby mama. He just doesn't want her out there embarrassing him. He didn't even want the kid at first. So he's still with the mother, and he's still with his kids. And Drake saying that Dave Free, who's a close family friend and business partner for a very long time of Kendrick Lamar, his kids weren't his? I mean, is that not a crazy accusation to make? And then also saying that he's putting hands or alluding to the potential of him putting hands on that chick, that's not crazy for his own kids to hear?
Drake, I feel like... yeah, that is crazy from there. But, some unrelated to this. Baka got a charge for assaulting women. You want to point a finger and say, K-Dot, you was beating on your wife in your baby not yours. That's Dave Free baby is kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. You should have stuck with the baby not yours.
Here? Like, come on now. This is being one-sided here. Let's not forget, Drake's the person that brought family into it. So you as his mans, you can't be like, yeah, we got kids and our kids hearing this about us. Drake brought family into the situation. He did the same thing when it came to Pusha T. And this bit him in the behind. Now, I understand. You're Drake's mans. You're Drake's ride or die. No weird intention behind that or no homo intention behind that at all. But this is like Drake's mans. And I do think that he's a very valuable asset. And we'll get into why I think Drake keeps him around or messes with him in general. But then he says the USA rallying behind it. Listen, Baka, with all due respect, the entire world rallied behind this. And it wasn't them rallying behind like you having a weird case. They rallied behind a fire song.
Exactly.
Now, most people, I would say 90% of people.
I feel like Baka gonna make it into a thing where he's gonna try to like come on the internet and say that he was upset and he feels some type of way, and then he's gonna go to court and try to sue Kendrick Lamar for it. I hope not. That's just me yapping. But if he do, I at this point, I called it. I wouldn't be surprised. But I feel like it's not even necessary. People are rallying behind the song because the song is tough, and it's like they literally, it was like song at the song aimed at Drake. It's not even like we paying attention to you, we paying attention to Drake, sir. And even then, we barely pay attention to Drake. We really focus on the fact that Kendrick is fired up and he is going in on people.
That listen to this song have no idea what a Baka is. Like people that are just here and not like us on the radio,
Yeah, I thought
people that
Baka
might
was
have
the
it
son of
added to
a
their
Pac-Man.
playlist. They don't know what a Baka is. They don't know what a party is. Like when they hear party in the party, they're just thinking like, oh, that's just a line. They don't know that he's referring to party next door. So it's a very small percentage of people that even know that. And then saying like it's a USA thing, the biggest defenders of Drake,
It's a
Aubrey's
music
Angels,
thing,
whatever
if
you
you're
want
big
to call
into
them,
music, you
they're
know,
American.
like, the lore.
So it's not an American versus Canadian thing at all. It's a Drake versus Kendrick thing. But then he goes on to say Drake hit his line.
But like, what I was gonna tell you is this: like, I was building up a lot of anger and stuff like that, but then I got a call, and I don't know why I got this call. It's like God said something to him or something. But the boy, sorry, it might not have been a call. It might have been a text message. But he messaged me, and he's like, "Yo, I know what you're feeling. I know you as a."
Drake said, let me hit up my crash out because I know how you feeling. Once you be calm, I got a plan.
Individual, and I know how you get down. But I'm just letting you know, like, don't listen to the noise because it's noise. And if you go back and look at all these people that are saying things or having anything to say, they're not even actual real people. They're like bots.
Exactly.
So like, don't let that shit bother you, bro.
Facts.
Like, and you know what? Like, I mean, it's not a good thing, but they're calling your name. You know what I'm saying?
So in that clip, I think it shows Drake's level of maturity, and this is where it gets a bit confusing. I don't know if Drake was telling Baka to chill on defending Drake or to chill on Baka defending himself, because Complex and all these other magazines were running press of Baka having a weird case, being a human trafficker before Kendrick Lamar's lyric, and Kendrick Lamar's lyric isn't even to the level of like throwing smut on your name like these other people were doing, or these other outlets were doing, and they were far more popular, and this was at a time when Baka had just gotten out of jail. So I think in this scenario, Drake was calling Baka because he felt like, yo, Baka rides for me so hard that he's going to try to say something right now, and I don't need him doing that. So I think this is where it shifts into talking about the accusations levied on Drake, because the narrative is really running on Drake. Not too many people are talking about Baka. Everything is in the context of Drake. And they're trying to create rumors like, oh, these people are procuring and quote-unquote trafficking chicks for Drake, which is a wild accusation to make. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But then he goes on to have a little bit of an optimistic view in the following clip.
And at the end of the day, you know, like, they're gonna get over this crap because they're gonna realize there's this crap, and then they're gonna go do their own research. And when you do your own research, you're gonna be like, wow, this guy made up a whole story about something that isn't even true, and it makes you look weird to me. I don't know.
It does.
But I want to say one thing to America, and y'all need to like get yourself together, because
America,
yo, making accusations on people, serious accusations like that, you need to have paperwork. That is the rule, like number one rule that everybody goes by. So don't switch up. That's all I'm gonna say.
So where he says, oh yeah, people are gonna go do their own research, they're never gonna do that. Number one, they don't even know.
People barely do.
Most people don't know who Baka is or Drake's scenario. Number two, people just think the lyrics are fire, so they're gonna yell them out. Number three, people are gonna do confirmation bias type of research. If they don't like Drake, they're gonna hop on the wave that says Drake is a weirdo and he's doing all this other stuff, and you therefore are weird alongside him. And there will be such a tiny, minute percentage that it doesn't even matter that are like, okay, I understand the full detail of the situation. Like me, for instance. I understand the full detail of the situation, including Baka's case, which we'll get into in a second, more details there. So he calls out, number one, he calls out America. Oh, like, yo, where I'm from, like, America's got to do better. Listen, where you're from is all inspired by America. Hip-hop, where you're a rapper, where Drake's a rapper, that was made in America. That whole gang stuff in the streets, all whatever stuff you were getting down with, that comes from America. Whether it's like you looking up to these mafia bosses, Italian-American, of course, but these gangs, all this activity comes from America. They're imitating Americans. All those Toronto rappers that came up, they were imitating the Chicago drill scene. So let's not play this like, oh, where I come from. Where you come from is adopting the things that American culture, if you want to be specific, you can even like, I would say it's like Italian-American culture too, because they do care about like the whole mob stuff. But it's American culture that's predominantly influencing whatever Baka's trying to talk about right now. So this whole like trying to be like, yo, we're Canadian and you guys are American, and in any way whatsoever trying to down America in this conversation is frankly ludicrous. Like, you can't look at yourself with a straight face and do that. Now, circling back to Baka, why I think Drake kept Baka on his team is the previous offenses by Baka. So Baka did 13 years overall. Or he did 13 years for one case. It ended up being 7 or 8. And he did like some armed robberies before that. So this guy was an absolute menace, terrorizing the streets of Toronto, or the greater Toronto area. We'll call it the GTA. But he was doing an interview where he talked about what he was doing and how he ended up getting his time. So I'm going to play you guys 2 clips from that. I think this is really, really important.
At one point,
I went on a rampage with my little buddies in the streets. We were just like doing a whole bunch of robberies, armed robberies, just going crazy as kids, you know? And anyways, long story short, I ended up getting caught.
Okay.
And I ended up taking the charge.
How does Toronto sound like UK? This is crazy.
Okay.
Like they didn't have anything on any of my other friends, but they wanted me to roll over on them. But I was like, yo, it was me. And then I made up names. And the names that I made up were like cars. I was like, yeah, my friend Audi. And I just said Vet. I said Vet or some Corvette or some
whatever
shit.
came to your mind.
You know what I mean? And I just threw them off. So long story short, all my friends got off and I ended up going to the penitentiary as a teenager.
And how old were you when you went in?
I was 18.
So his first clip is the armed robbery that he had gotten into when he was just a teenager, like around 18 years old. So from there, you can probably already tell, like, damn, this is beyond a dude that's solid. Like, this is the opposite of Gunna. Like, he's not saying, like, oh, that wasn't mine. Like, he's saying, yeah, and I was with my homies. Now, I would wonder if this is considered snitching in the modern day, right? Like, you know how these guys are pulling up. They're like, yo, if you talk to police in any type of case, even if you're making stuff up, then that means you're telling. I don't know. Let's defer to the experts on that. I am not an expert on that. But this instance, you're like, man, this is a solid guy. And by solid guy, I mean, like, this is somebody that has such a level of loyalty that he's...
That loyalty gonna get you in jail forever. Next.